into your neighborhood.
Yes.
How has that affected the neighborhood, if at all?
It's not bothering, them people don't bother nobody, all right? Let me say that. They're not bothering nobody. They stay to themselves. And just because they can't speak our language, people is treating them wrong. It's not right that you treat them wrong like that. Give them a chance to learn our ways and our language and things so they can understand how to live in the United States if you want to live here. Just sending them here and just bringing them all like they bringing them, they're not teaching them how to be a citizens. They need to teach them how to be a United States citizen, for one. I think that'd be the best thing.
And you had said, can you talk about the traffic wrecks that you were mentioning?
Well, another thing, I don't know how they are learning how to drive vehicles and pass them tests and everything, but they are not driving these cars like they're supposed to. I mean, they get brand new cars and they wreck them 2 or 3 days later or whatever. I done almost had 3 or 4 wrecks right here on South Limestone in Springfield, Ohio. And when they driving, they don't use turn signals and nothing, they just come across your lane. And they almost hit me 3 or 4 times. But I just ignore it. I don't disrespect them or nothing like that because I'm not that type of man. They need to learn how to drive vehicles and learn how to understand the signs and stuff. They don't understand that. So however they passing these driving tests, I wouldn't know because they can't drive. None of them can drive.
And when I was doing the other video, you had said that you're fine with the country bringing them here, but...
Oh, yeah, I'm very fine that
the
United States brought them here because that was the best thing that the United States did for them people. Them people was getting abused and mistreated in their country, and they was getting killed for no reason. So to bring them into the United States is saving them. It's helping them. That's what the United States do. We help people. We don't mistreat people. We help them.
But you had said you thought it wasn't done properly.
No, it's not. It ain't done properly that when they brought them over here because, see, when you bring somebody into this country, you need to teach them the language and the way of our living. If they don't understand the way of our how we live and how we do things, you need to sit them down and have classes with them so they can understand things. Take them and put them in a building and have somebody that can speak their language and make them understand how we live in the United States. Because doing that, you're not teaching these people how to drive cars or talk to people, and they speaking Creole. We don't understand that language. We understand English. So you gotta teach them some English. And you gotta have English or Creole teachers in schools. If you ain't got somebody that can speak their language, they're not gonna learn nothing. You're teaching a child of their race, American. That child sitting there don't know what you're talking about because we're Americans.
Who do you put responsibility on for how this has been not done right?
Well, I put it on the government. The government is doing that wrong. I mean, the president, he's one because he's the one that's bringing them here. If he wants to bring all these people to the United States, you got to teach them our ways, how we live and how we do things. It ain't how you just come here and don't do nothing. And that's what they are doing. They coming here and they're not doing nothing. And they getting a lot of money from somewhere. Being that I'm American, and I went and applied, and I'm retired, I went and applied for food stamps. And they told me I couldn't even get food stamps. But they come here, they get a whole lot of them. And they ain't even got a job. I ain't got a job. I just draw Social Security disability. But they want to give me $23 and give them thousands of dollars. That don't make sense for the government to give them all that money and not giving Americans.
How do you feel about that?
I think it's wrong. I think the government should recalculate how he's doing this with these people and the Americans that's in the United States.
And what was your job before you were retired?
I was a certified welder. for 17 years.
Wow. And you're also a former Marine, you said.
And I'm a United States Marine.
Where did you serve? Did you serve overseas?
I served overseas, Okinawa, Japan, Korea, Germany, Saipan, Guam, a lot of places, all right? A lot of places. But when I was in their countries, when I was in the military, it was fine. There was a lot of their people knew our language. A lot of them didn't know the language. But the ones that knew the language, those are the type of people that you need to bring to the United States, because they know how to speak American. Ones that don't know how to speak it, you're going to have to teach them. You're not teaching these kids and these people that's coming from their country to the United States. You're not, the government is not teaching them how to do things the right way.
What's your opinion about this cat and dog thing?
I have 4 or 5 families on my street, dear, and I ain't never, not one time seen them chase a cat, a dog, or whatever and eat it. That's Donald Trump's just making a statement with his dumb self because he's trying to be president again. He don't deserve that job. For one, he made a comment of a handicapped child, and I watched that on national TV. That was wrong. For two, he talked about the veterans, what he was going to do and this and that, and didn't do nothing for us. So he told a lie on national TV, and I watched what he was talking about. Even though he does them things that he's doing, I think he's starting a little conflict in Ohio.
Are you voting for, who are you voting for?
I sure enough ain't voting for Donald Trump, dear. I'm Democrat.
Are you voting for Harris?
I am voting for Harris. I will vote for that woman because she's got common sense and she knows what she's doing, and she will make this country a lot better than what he would.
I noticed there's a Trump flag right behind you. What is it like to live in a community where we go and we see Trump and then Harris, Trump, Harris, like all these different signs everywhere? Is that
I have a lady that lives beside me, dear, that's got a Donald Trump flag up in the air.
Yeah, right there.
It don't bother me, and it don't bother her that I'm Democrat and she's Republican. We have a good understanding with that. That's my decision who I feel and want to vote for. And that's her decision who she want to vote for. Everybody's got their own decision and the right to vote for whoever they want to vote. Nobody can make you vote for somebody.
Yeah. Jim, do you have a question?
Yeah, question. Could you talk a little bit about the impact of having, 20 up to 20,000 people in the last couple of years placed in your relatively small community of 58,000 people? Specifically, I'm talking about housing. We've heard people talk about how there's a lack of housing, which has really jacked up rents up by 50%. Is there plenty of housing available?
No.
So how does that impact the lower income people of Springfield having their rents jacked up? We've heard at least 50% in the last couple of years.
Well, I feel about that there, that comment there that she just made. Yeah, the housing is very bad here in Ohio. And a lot of these houses are boarded up. They're not trying to fix them and put people in them. I think the government should invest some money into some of these properties or whatever and make them better for people that low income can live in them or buy them and be happy. And the Haitians that's coming here, help them get into one of them. Fix these raggedy houses up. There's nothing in them. You just letting them waste. If they put money into them, they can live in them. They can put a whole lot of people in different houses in this city. But they took my rent from $550 to $1,100, and I only get $1,600 a month. I got to pay rent. I got to pay gas, lights, cable, telephone, car payment. I'm broke.
So your rent has doubled.
Oh, since
what time period? From when were you paying $550 and when till now?
4 years ago.
4 years. So the last 4 years your rent has doubled.
And I've been in this house 4 years.
Okay.
That's a huge difference. That really affects your life, I would think.
You think it ain't, dear? Yes, it has.
That's why you have to go get food stamps, and then
I gotta get
you for that, and you're a veteran.
And then I draw food from the Goodwill stores or whatever that they bring me, there's no meat in them. It's this canned goods and juice and stuff like that. If you're going to help people that's on Social Security, 65 years or older, do the right things. Give them some meat and money or whatever so they can do all this to live. You're taking a lot from the Americans and giving it to the Haitians.
So when we talk, I'm just going to go political for a second. When we talk to Trump supporters, we've been trying to talk to people on both sides all over the city. When we talk to Trump supporters, they say the same things you do, but they believe that Trump, his economy was better, that he wants to put American citizens first in terms of getting these kinds of, the economic help. And so they believe that Kamala Harris and Biden caused this problem, and they're not going to fix it because they caused it. So what's your reaction to that?
My reaction to that, dear, yeah, the government did do all this, all right? All this that's going on right now, it started with the government. They did that. But what they not doing is cleaning it up. They're not cleaning this up yet because it's still getting worse and worse than what it is. And people is starving out here, really. I see a lot of people go to Speedway and sit out there. They got no food, no money or nothing. I buy them sandwiches and stuff. They all know me at Speedway because they say, here come Mr. Coleman. And I'm fine. I don't have a problem with that, dear. I help any and everybody that's look like they need help. That's something that the government need to do. Start helping these people, homeless people. Give them somewhere to live and stay instead of these streets. These streets is bad. Our city is already bad anyway. All the guns, shootings, and everything that's going on in this city, they need to change and clean this stuff up because it's bad. But they need to take these Haitians and fix some of these empty homes that they got boarded up and still can be used and fixed and lived in it. Give them a home then and give them some knowledge how to understand the American way.
So it sounds like you're fine with the Haitians being brought here, but it wasn't done right and you want American citizens to get help first.
No,
More help or equal help.
I want it to be equal.
Yeah, equal,
I want it to be equal. The government's not making that equal for the Americans and the Haitians.
Okay.
If they make a decision to help the Americans the same way that they're helping the Haitians, that's fine. Nobody will have a problem with them in this country. And they shouldn't have a problem with that. I mean, just because they can't speak our language and understand things, that's fine, dear. They gotta learn it. You gotta teach them this. If you don't teach somebody something, how are they gonna learn something?
Yeah. What you were saying about the housing situation in Springfield.
4 years ago, when I lived in the house that I live in now, today, I was paying $550. 2 years, maybe 3 years later, my rent from $550 to $1,100. A lot of these property owners that rent to people, and they rent to especially the Haitians. They rent to the Haitians, and if there's 3 families in there, each family's got to pay $500 or $600 to live in that house. So the property owner that's renting them properties to them is charging them for each family to live in that house. And I think that's wrong. You don't charge people like that or treat people like that. To treat them the way that you're treating them, I think it's wrong. You should give them a chance where, put them in a single house and they're single families. Don't charge each and every family that's living in one house all that money. You're making a lot of money. A lot of these homeowners are crooked because they're treating them Haitians very wrong.
So people are making a profit off of them.
They're making a very good profit off them.
How many people are living in the homes, in the Haitian homes on your block? Do you know?
I got four families that live in 2 houses on my street, but there's 3 in one house and probably 4 in another house.
3 families and 4 families?
3 families and 4 families in each house.
Total in each
There's probably maybe between 6 to 8, maybe 9 people in one house.
Like the whole house or one side, or top or bottom?
One whole house.
Okay.
Just one whole house, dear.
Okay. And they're charging by head? Like
They charge each head to live in there. If there's 9 people in there, they're going to charge them 9 people. And that's making a lot of money.
So they're raising your rent because they know if you can't afford it anymore and then you break your lease or leave.
If I break my
Turn
lease,
around, they'll rent.
probably rent it to the Haitians where they'll make a killing off of it.
Okay.
I mean, that makes sense. If they could rent
Right.
this for 6 people, $25 a night, right? Is 25 the night?
20, yeah, no, not a night, a month, $600.
Each?
They charge each one of them Haitians at least $500 to $600
Each.
to live in that house.
Right. So that
Okay,
was my
I
point.
see.
So if it's 6,
Yeah.
they could make $3,000.
$3,000 or $4,000
month
a month.
if they kick him out and move him in.
And that's what they are doing. That's what some of these people that own homes are doing that.
Yeah.
And I know they are. I seen it, and I know that they're doing that to them people.
Do you know people that's happened to where they got kicked out so that they could turn around and rent to Haitians?
Yes, yes I do. I know 2 or 3 families that got kicked out, and then Haitians is living in the house today.
And where are those families living now?
Well, 2 of them is probably somewhere else in another city that they can live in a house and won't have that type of problem because of the Haitians that they brought to the Springfield, Ohio. That's a lot of them, and you're over-cluttering us. Too full. That's too many, really.
At what point do you say, because of how this is unfolding and how unprepared all this is and the impact on the local people here, at what point do you say, you know what, the government should not keep allowing more and more Haitians to come
Well, I
here
think
until they solve all this?
I think the government should stop that. Stop that immediately.
Okay.
You bringing more and more to our country, but you're not putting them in homes or doing things for these people. You're just bringing them and letting them sit and hang anywhere, because some be in empty homes and stuff, and make it a house.
Oh, they go in foreclosed homes?
Yeah, yes, they go in foreclosed homes.
So initially, you said you were fine with them being brought here,
I'm very fine that they're in the United States. They don't bother me.
but now you're saying, but they shouldn't allow any more, is what
They
you're
shouldn't have no more coming to this country because we already got too many of them right now. They can send them somewhere else and let them live there. Stop bringing them to us, Springfield, Ohio. You're overloading us with them.
Yeah, the numbers are pretty.
It's too many numbers and too high to bring 20,000
Yeah.
to the United States, and then you're gonna bring them to Springfield, Ohio.
Yeah.
Springfield, Ohio was never like that. It was a good city and very peaceful and nice. Now they bring all these Haitians. It's starting a problem with the Americans.
So the problem, let's be clear, the problem existed before Trump said anything in a debate. There were issues already.
Yes, Trump didn't start this.
Do you think
So-
he's just trying to get attention to it and the media were ignoring him until he...
I think the media is ignoring him for that because he's not, even if he was president, I wouldn't care. 90% of them presidents are bad anyway. They all ain't good. Some is good and some ain't. So don't just make like one president did something wrong and the other presidents ain't done nothing wrong, because they all have done something wrong.
So you feel the media weren't paying attention to this issue?
I believe that. Yes, I do. I believe the media was not paying attention to all that. And I think they should have paid attention to all that and did the right things with this.
Like the real issues, traffic, housing, education, like the real, not...
Education, housing, giving food stamps to the Americans, to the Haitians. Make it equal. You go to the food place, the welfare, to get food stamps to sign up. They have a line from the front desk to out the door of Haitians. Then they got a line for Americans. That don't make sense.
You have a question.
I have a question. and this is coming at you a little bit, okay, but people on the right are going to ask us, after watching this interview, this question. You stated that you are going to be voting for Kamala Harris.
That is true. I am voting for Kamala.
The last 4 years of the Biden-Harris administration, the estimates vary, but let's say 12 million illegal immigrants have come over. During that time, 20,000 Haitians have come over or have essentially come into your community. I think we could fairly say it has overburdened the community. All that was done under the Biden-Harris watch. Why, even and it seems like you're opposed to, and Harris has not expressed that she's going to change direction on that policy. So
No, she has not spoke of that.
That's correct, yeah. She has not said she's going to reverse.
She's going to reverse all that. No, she has never said nothing like that.
Right.
And that's something that she needs to speak of.
Okay.
She's going to change that policy.
Okay, so you think she needs to come out and change the policy?
Oh, definitely she should come out and change that policy, because the policy that's running right now is not the right one.
Okay. If she does not change that policy, will you still support her?
No.
Okay, interesting.
Who would you support then?
I would sit and say I'm not voting for near one of them.
You just sit it out.
I sit that out. My vote stay to myself.
That's interesting though, because this issue matters enough to you. And also, I was going to say, adding to that, the economy. Like under Biden-Harris, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago when Trump was president?
No.
Or are you worse off?
No, I'm not better. 4 years ago I was better when I was paying my rent $550. All right, that was the best thing. And I live in a 4-bedroom house and paid $550. That is a good price for a 4-bedroom house. Now, 3 years later, because they brought the Haitians here, my rent goes to $550.
I think
That didn't make sense.
I think some people on the
Not $550, $1,100, dear.
Yeah.
I was paying $550 3 years ago. Now I'm paying $1,100 today, and that don't make sense.
I think some people on the other side of this would say, if your life was better off when Trump was president, why don't you want him back? Because your life was better. Like, he made the economy better. Yeah, he says things that are kind of crazy sometimes or whatever. He's not perfect. But
He's not.
if your life was better, why don't you want his policies back and him back?
Well, I mean, if Trump would say the things that I can listen to, that he's going to do for the Americans and the right things, I might vote for that man, because the country needs to be changed. And things need to get a lot better than what it is today. Because today it's bad. It's bad. There's no jobs like they're supposed to be giving and doing. We don't have all that here in Springfield, Ohio. So they need to start giving and building and making jobs for these Americans around here. They're giving a lot of Haitians the jobs at these factories. And when you go in some of them, ain't nothing in there but Haitians. Not too many Americans. So I don't know how they paying the Haitians or treating them. That's something that them companies do to these people.
So actually, you're a true. And initially, you said you'd vote for Harris, but as we're talking more in depth, maybe you're a true undecided voter, where either one could sway you to their sides.
Either one of them. Yes, yeah, either one of them could do that to me. I mean, it's not just Coleman Harris or Donald Trump. I mean, if one of them give me the right things that I want to listen and hear, I'll vote for that person.
And so you said what Kamala Harris needs to do to earn your vote is say, I will stop this policy because this is not working.
She should have been done stop that policy,
Yeah.
dear.
And then Trump. What would you need to hear from Trump to vote for Trump in November?
That he would stop that policy today.
He said that already.
Yes.
Okay, if he said he said he'll stop that policy. Well, I will make a decision if I would vote for him then.
I mean, he did say that. I'm just being honest. He said that.
That's fine. He probably did. I didn't hear it because I watched the debate all day that day. I watched it, and there was a lot of things that both of them were saying to each other that really didn't make sense because it was a conflict thing. between them. And
Well, he went off on this tangent about cats and dogs, but like he has since given a lot of interviews.
but he brought that cat and dog to Springfield, Ohio.
Right.
That is not happening here in Springfield, Ohio.
Yeah, we
They're
haven't
not
found-
eating cats and dogs or like that.
We haven't
And I ain't
found
seen that.
evidence of that at all.
There's no evidence
But
that they're doing that.
since then, he has given speeches and rallies and all where he's made it clear he wants to stop. He would immediately stop what's going on with the not just Haitians, but also
The Mexicans?
illegal immigration. Also, the program they brought that Biden-Harris brought the Haitians in. They also brought in Venezuelans, Cubans, Nicaraguans, and they're giving them this temporary protected status. So they're not illegal, but they're granting them this status to let them come here in great numbers.
Yes.
He said he would stop that. I don't
That's-
know. I'm just telling you what.
Well, that's fine. If he would become president and stop that and send these people back home or something, that's fine with me. Our country probably might be a lot better.
I mean,
Everybody,
he said that.
rent and everything else might go down. Cost of living and everything might shut down. He might shut all that down.
He said he will. I don't know.
Well, I mean-
he said he will.
I would have to wait and see in my decision before the time that you vote for the president. Well, the next time that I watch it and he say the right things or she said, I'll make my decision that day.
It sounds like your opposition to him on the front end was more things he said.
He's not a bad man. Listen, Donald Trump's not a bad man. People think because that man got all that money and them high-rise buildings and all that, that's material things. We're talking about our country, what's going on in our country, not what that man's got. Just because he's a billionaire, that don't mean nothing. That's something that he worked and earned, all right? You got to give people the knowledge and the common sense to realize when people work for things, that's what they get, the things that they work and buy. Being that they taking all these Haitians and bringing them here to the United States, you're taking from the Americans because we don't have jobs like we should because they're bringing all these Haitians here. And they putting all the Haitians in the factories. But they're not doing that to the Americans.
You know.
They can't get a job.
Bye, Mr.